Horizontally. Who eats them horizontally? Undertaking. Now, I know I'm proposing an enormous undertaking. Defensive. Now, there's no need to get defensive. Theorem. Well, would you consider naming it the Cooper-Nowitzki theorem? Mercury. Which are all high in mercury. October. Okay, October is the 10th month. Comprehend. Whose ability to comprehend the American idiom fails him? Supermodel. So we can find the house of the supermodels. Fingertip. Of a world that's just beyond their soot-stained fingertips. Complacent. Only encourages the faculty to become complacent. Grieve. Well, it sounds like he may be grieving. Eucalyptus. Of eucalyptus. Bayberry. Cinnamon and vanilla. Finch. Of finches competed over the same food source. Annihilation. Of gamma rays from dark matter annihilations. Addle. The charm of your drug-addled candor knows no bounds. Uncertainty. You can think about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Flirtation. Of inappropriate workplace flirtations from a young lady. Criterion. Of our personal criteria for a sport. Fabricate. Of the nano-fabricated metal rings is qualitatively no different. Childlike. Oh, Amy, you never lose that childlike innocence. Exploratory. This is not the first time an exploratory mission to Mars. Swordfish. Oh, and no swordfish. King mackerel. Shark or tillafish. Diesel. Oh, I like all kinds of trains. Steam. Diesel. Citizenship. Oh, crap. What if it comes up when I apply for citizenship? Binocular. Oh, he watches you from his car with high-powered binoculars. Huffy. Oh, don't get all huffy. Glare. They just glared at me. Gout. She's going to die of gout. Biographer. Years from now, my biographer might ask you about this event. Sufficiently. Oh, I think we're going sufficiently fast. Politically. Kung Fu letters might not be politically correct. Straightforward. Oh, it's quite straightforward, actually. Prune. Spoiler alert. 20 minutes in, they find a prune pit. Multiplication. Since the day Leonard made that multiplication error. Upstage. So we wouldn't upstage your big day. FaceTime. We can FaceTime him whenever we want. Infuriate. That won't infuriate my pregnant wife. Unmitigated. This sandwich is an unmitigated disaster. Lumen. Oh, those are 10,000 lumens if they're a lumen. MasterCard. We now know why MasterCard sent me a fraud alert. Blob. Oh, yeah, that's a good-looking baby for a little gray blob. Extensive. Which is the result of extensive debate and compromise. Sidewalk. Oh, you really sleep on the sidewalk. Huh? Bounty. Oh, Lord, we thank you for this meal and all of your bounty. Locksmith. Perhaps you should call a locksmith. January. Which would be January 10th, 2328 by pre-Federation reckoning. Improvise. You're improvising your entire curriculum. Bedrock. Okay, if I may drill down to the bedrock of my question. Christ. Okay, it's not like she's got the Christ child in there. All right? Psychiatric. Okay, moving to psychiatric disorders. Squid. You have to imagine me with a giant squid head. Insert. Okay, now you're going to insert the flash drive into the USB port. Found. Until I met you, my decisions were founded in logic and reason. Cipher. Oh, it might be a substitution cipher. Unpack. Our entire dinner unpacked by robot. Posse. So, Saturday night. Can I count on my posse? Pulley. She used an intricate system of pulleys. Reduction. It's a reduction. Cellular. Well, I'd been thinking about a cellular automata approach. Frivolous. On frivolous nonsense and more money on science. Provider. With his internet service provider. Incident. The Mars rover incident to that FBI agent. Cantaloupe. On what appears to be a cantaloupe but is not. Nuptial. We are here tonight to celebrate the upcoming nuptials. Readiness. Once a quarter. Keep our readiness up. Cactus. While I sit out here and watch Howard hump a cactus. Candor. The charm of your drug-addled candor knows no bounds. Availability. One can only assume she's signaling sexual availability. France. One day, I hold a great ball for the President of France. Alumnus. Who can't control herself around esteemed alumni? Redeem. When your idiot brother redeems mankind. Bash. To have your head bashed in with a shovel. Clumsy. Writing clumsy penis metaphors about my fiancé. Outlook. Or a fun skirt and I have a whole new outlook on life. Digest. That he can't digest. In the form of a pellet. Chrysanthemum. When would you have accidentally eaten chrysanthemum blossoms? Archaic. Who love physics? Archaic languages and flags of the world. Icy. Or under the icy surface of Europa? Omega. To evade the omega baryon constraints. Birthright. Regain our birthright at 10 o'clock. 10:30 latest. Herring. Our eyes locked over the pickled herring. Shifting. Wasn't so much evidence of paradigm-shifting monopoles. Parasitic. Parasitic infections are common, such as pinworms. Daunt. Yeah, it seemed daunting at first. Cashier. Pay the cashier. Paycheck. While I'm still working for a paycheck? Horribly. You mean when we were all sad, desperate and horribly alone? Manipulative. Penny doesn't know how manipulative my mother can be. Infuse. Penny's steroid-infused ex-boyfriend. Kindly. Per our roommate agreement. Kindly refrain. Photographic. Sheldon has kind of a photographic memory. Manifestation. You're just a manifestation of my subconscious. Catastrophe. Pick a catastrophe. Any catastrophe. Infatuation. Please don't tell me that you're hopeless infatuation. Porcelain. With porcelain skin and curious clothing. Prejudice. She's got too much prejudice. Nullify. With the friendship clause of our roommate agreement nullified. Propensity. You know. Civil servants have a documented propensity to, snap. So, rein. So you don't think he needs to rein it in a little? Spinal. Sheldon. This beaker used to contain cerebral spinal fluid. Platonic. Who you're now platonic with. Turnip. You think I just fell off the turnip truck? Racially. Was that fun for you or kinda racially insensitive? Bail. Raj bailed. So we could use some extra players. Ravage. Your mother ravaging someone? Unsatisfactory. Who's unsatisfactory in PE? Now? Cult. You know that the movie actually has a little bit of a cult following. Goldfish. Remember what happened when I took care of your goldfish? Rubbish. He's talking rubbish. Computational. Scientists have tried to reproduce it with computational models. Base. I'll have the sea bass. Commute. C. Leonard and I often use our commute time. Confirmation. It's right here after providing a confirmation sniff. Substrate. Semiconductor substrates for homemade integrated circuits. September. You thought of it September 22nd, 2007. Belittle. Spend all your time trying to belittle me. Oxytocin. Your brain would be floating on a sea of oxytocin right now. Shrug. She shrugs. I shrug. Orally. That an. Who does one have to orally gratify? Nonstop. There's a 3:05 nonstop back to Los Angeles. Yoke. To labor under the yoke of the white man. Figment. Sheldon. I'm a figment of your imagination. Kiwi. It's got kiwi on it. Crumble. Your entire life seems to be crumbling around you. Suffocate. Sheldon. Please. You're suffocating me. Analog. Should be the closest analog to the mind's. Data. Simulated signals to the data files. Germany. So he could go to college and he could go study in Germany. Writer. The implementation of the agreed upon cohabitation. Writer. Undo. So how do I undo this? Isolation. So I'm gonna place the sensory isolation helmet on you. Asymmetric. The super asymmetric model is inherently flawed. Sow. That dreadful table by sowing discord in our relationship. Mingle. Who dressed as a commoner and mingled among them. Unexpectedly. So that I can drop in on them unexpectedly. Indemnify. So that I'm fully indemnified and no longer liable. Flux. So this diagram is really just a flux capacitor. Paralyzed. So Wolowitz and Stewart are paralyzed. Santa's dead. Hoop. We'd need a large tank of water, a hoop to jump through. Regulation. So you're saying this is a regulation deck? Characterization. Your characterization of approximately 171 different men as a few. Checking. Which is completed by the checking of the message. Psychologist. You know, even psychologists are divided on it. Unforeseen. What an interesting and completely unforeseen development. Pancreas. Sometimes the pancreas wants what the pancreas wants. Misleading. The online description was completely misleading. Stale. The sarcasm's a little stale, though. Crystallization. Staleness is caused by crystallization of the starch molecules. Heartbreaking. Stores that sell them, nor their heartbreaking clientele. Messaging. The required intimacy via text messaging? Spinner. You know, I was the best leg spinner in my high school? Honk. What makes accidentally noticing a hunk of rock? Electrocute. Telephone wires can't electrocute you, can they? Ham. This sandwich has $6 worth of ham in it. Texture. That can compromise its taste and texture. Freely. That doesn't give me the right to disseminate it freely. Distinct. That I represent a distinct new stage in humankind. Irritated. That irritated you. Motivating you. Blacken. That my body will blacken. Equality. That our society is approaching gender equality? Margin. That proposal passed by a 2-0 margin. Fodder. These Hungarians. They're just using you for dragon fodder. Rant. Until Sheldon went on one of his typical psychotic rants. Resistance. With the infinite resistance gyroscope. Doctrine. You're just going to try to recycle Adler's doctrine. Courthouse. That the flags in front of the courthouse are flying in the wrong order. Knit. Well, Amy enjoys knitting her own sweaters. Lad. That's 1.5 billion handsome lads standing by. Mutation. That's not exactly a mutation that would get you. Outrageous. That's outrageous. Authenticity. Without the certificate of authenticity. Certificate. The bearer of this certificate is entitled. Bisexual. The bisexual gorilla go-go dancer in Schindler's List. Blunt. The blunt instrument that will be the focus of my murder trial? Communist. They called it the greatest thing since the Communist Party. Conqueror. This is Shelder the Conqueror. Deluxe. The deluxe limited edition Wild West and Witches. Doorman. The doorman said this is the right building. Moss. The entrance to the dungeon is a moss-covered door. Exoskeleton. The giant ant would be crushed under the weight of its own exoskeleton. Greasy. The greasy old fat guy in facilities management? Dealership. Why not at the car dealership? Housekeeper. The housekeeper in the faculty residence didn't speak any English. Hardware. Well, we got to make a run to the hardware store. Hamper. There's some underwear in the hamper. Transverse. The line of scrimmage is the imaginary transverse line. Patter. With your looks, your fancy patter and your tight hoochie pants. Cognition. Well, there is our quantum cognition experiment. Speechless. You've been rendered speechless by fear. Apparatus. The quantum vortex apparatus is now controlling the orientation. Reciprocate. You see, the danger was that I might under or over reciprocate. Bridle. Somebody's auctioning off a jeweled ostrich bridle. Sitting. The sitting around all day wearing yoga pants factory? Darken. The thought of you sitting in a darkened theater. Ersatz. The two of you have created an ersatz homosexual marriage. Tapioca. The worst tapioca pudding is better than the best pudding of any other flavor. Transitive. Then by the transitive property of picking things up. Curly. There was a curly fry in your regular fries. Lone. Until one lone dreamer with a unique vision made it happen. Oversee. There's a standing committee that oversees the budget. Banquet. There's an awards banquet and a dance afterward. Discernible. Well, there's no discernible pattern that I can see. Ensemble. This entire ensemble once belonged to my dead grandmother. Massacre. Who have all been massacred. Simulated. We could take some more simulated instrument readings. Controversy. They say it finally solves the submarine controversy. Inject. They were injecting rats with radioactive isotopes. Warming. They're losing their homes to global warming. Thinly. Usually in an attempt to soften a thinly veiled insult. Knob. Yeah. He's a ginormous knob. Rivalry. You know Barry and I have a professional rivalry. Utter. Which requires complete and utter focus. Vertical. It's like vertical swimming. Deduce. Well, I could deduce by his facial expression. Hooligan. Those singing hooligans really got my motor running. Trident. Tridents are for ruling the 7 seas. Bypass. What if we just ran another line? Bypass it entirely. Showing. Your movie's showing. So you're going. Cleansing. You got a scented candle. A cleansing buff. Invasion. You know what, I hope it's one of those home invasion deals. Kennel. To be honest, she'd do better in the kennel. Better. Under the lash of their betters. Growl. Where she's growling at a pine cone. Prominent. To make the buttocks and breasts more prominent? Mediate. Well, technically, anticipation wouldn't be mediated. 100th. To the 500th power. Capability. You continue to underestimate my capabilities. Madam. Paramedic. Tom is a paramedic with the fire department. Transcend. Understandable. But there's a universality to that story which transcends ethnicity. Triangular. Which Archimedean solid has 20 regular triangular faces? Turkey. Turkey stuffed with a brisket stuffed with gefilte fish. Interlock. Which featured a mattress suspended on interlocking ropes. Which would occasionally. Refreshment. Before we begin, may I offer you a refreshment? Extent. You will feel the full extent of my wrath. Believer. You know, I'm a big believer in breaking bad news. Utensil. Solids and liquids handled by one utensil? Cultivate. Suppose I'll have to find and cultivate a new roommate. Chimney. Uncle Carl said, I think there's a badger living in our chimney. Unclean. Unclean. Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly another snide response to my repeated letters complaining. Excitement. Yeah, I guess we just got caught up in the excitement. Affordable. With a pharmaceutical company to help develop affordable vaccines. Outdoors. Until I cut out that time suck known as playing outdoors. Dreamer. Until one lone dreamer with a unique vision made it happen. Controversial. You've always had some pretty strong and controversial opinions. Witty. W's for witty. He's quick with a joke. Bumper. We are next to a Subaru with a Gore Lieberman bumper sticker. Legacy. We have to stop this and protect your legacy. Driveway. We just need help taking it all out to the driveway. A while. Where I felt bad for you. We're gonna be here a while. Widen. Yes. There's nothing quite like the slightly widened eyes. Immensity. We understand them because there are immensities. Fin. Well, first we buttered my feet to get the swim fins off. Rekindle. We've only just rekindled the romance. Deception. Well, I won't tolerate deception in my relationship. Appreciation. Well, I'm glad you have a new appreciation for your job. Actuality. Well, in actuality, what your equipment detected. Partly. Well, it's partly you. Partly my transient idiopathic arrhythmia. Macho. You know. Macho with the perfect body and the hair and the money. Abduct. Well, people who are abducted by aliens lose time. Convenient. Well, that's convenient. Beige. You and Penny decide to go out and paint the town beige? Holographic. Well, the holographic principle suggests that. Venue. Well, we only have 2 months to find a venue. Noxious. Without producing a noxious gas that I maintain. Condescending. Well, what if you said it without sounding so condescending? Frail. Well, you know the old saying, pasty and frail never fail. Manganese. Well, then you'll want some manganese. Identical. Would be with 4 pairs of identical Sheldons and Amys. Ale. Your question should have been, what ails her? Interpreter. What are high-level language interpreters for microcomputers? Encrypt. What kind of secret does Sheldon have to encrypt? Spaceship. What kind of spaceship has a hole in the middle? Rattle. What's rattling around that big bulbous head of yours? Dwelling. Which states a person who occupies a dwelling? Infinitive. Whether you split atoms or infinitives. Harmful. You can get animals addicted to a harmful substance. Periodically. You check your email periodically for a doozy. Incomplete. Your incomplete set of Star Trek collector plates? Sleeper. While I slept in my sleeper car. Glum. Why so glum? Chum. Vista. Windows 7 is much more user-friendly than Windows Vista. Intestine. With my lower intestine playing the part of Czechoslovakia. Ken. Woman. You are playing with forces beyond your ken. Infernal. Would you booze hounds please stop that infernal clinking? Wharf. You no longer dress like you're trying to attract sailors by the wharf. Vice. Yeah, this is your vice president of programming. Disrespect. You don't even notice when someone disrespects you. Hypocrite. You've never seen a hypocrite before? Fizz. You said. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Shortcut. You're always looking for shortcuts. Minority. 'Cause he's a minority. Yacht. 'Cause I'm gonna see that world from a yacht so big. Clipboard. 'Cause I'm the petty functionary with a clipboard. Bitch. Immunotherapy. 'Cause I'm up for a major immunotherapy study. Intermediary. 'Cause it's happening online or through intermediaries. Stunningly. 'Cause you were just a stunningly poor waitress. Survivor. Eye of the Tiger by Survivor playing. Chopstick. Are there any chopsticks? Fluent. Once you're fluent. Frenzied. And engage in frenzied lovemaking. Restitution. As restitution. Battalion. Augmented by a battalion of orcs from Lord of the Rings. Cascade. Gently cascading down onto her pail. Outweigh. Outweigh the needs of the few. Swindle. Your profession is a swindle. Kilometer. 1,200-kilometer journey from Maharashtra to the Bikaner Junction. Impend. 12 hours notice of impending coitus. Southeast. 12.5 miles southeast of Traverse City, Michigan. Gigabyte. 16 gigabytes of RAM. 16G. Carat. 18 karat gold. Got it in Europe during the war. Compact. 20 compact discs. Vertex. 60 vertices and 120 edges. Multipurpose. 7 p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. Norton Hall Multipurpose Room. Celsius. 760 degrees Celsius. Supernatural. A bit of frozen supernatural ephemera in a stolen hat. Wick. A candle without a wick. Standardized. A car length is not a standardized unit of measure. Cardiac. A cardiac stress test. A full body MRI. Cathode. A cathode ray tube without an electron gun. Cavalryman. A cavalryman crossing. Grammatical. A common grammatical mistake. Considerable. A considerable number of hours on a simulator. Cranial. A cranial ultrasound. Prudent. A fear of falling, on the other hand, is prudent and evolutionary. Alignment. A front-end alignment from 62 million miles away. Gallant. A gallant man would defend. Storytelling. A gazelle blessed with a flair for storytelling. Ghostly. A ghostly moan. Moan. A ghostly moan. Commensurate. A gift of commensurate value. Involvement. A greater than average involvement in their children's love lives. Trundle. A guest in my trundle bed and a boy at my door. Inhabitant. A hobbit is a mortal halfling inhabitant of Middle-earth. Converted. A hot dog stand in a converted railroad dining car. Shining. Did you see The Shining? Lighting. A little mood lighting. Procure. A little something I procured from the School of Pharmacology. Tipsy. A little tipsy when I talked to her. Auburn. A lock of Maggie's flaming auburn hair. Infrastructure. A marketing and distribution infrastructure. Spokesman. A NASA spokesman states that due to the loss of data. Indeterminate. A nerve-wracking bath of indeterminate temperature. Outgoing. A new outgoing voicemail message for both of us. Infiltrate. A perfect way to infiltrate and destroy mankind would be. Potentially. A potentially jealous man who's handy with an axe. Ballad. A power ballad. Superhero crossover tale. Precocious. A precocious little internet show. Compulsion. A printer's type size or a compulsion to eat dirt. Depiction. A room full of inaccurate depictions of Polynesian religion. Similarly. A similarly menial job. Apathetic. A slightly apathetic tertiary friend. Reek. A small human wreaks havoc on his wife's genitals. Superb. A superb choice. Trivia. A trivia contest. Artifact. A unique, albeit confusing, artifact. Veritable. A veritable smorgasbord of potential sexual partners. Cackle. A witch's cackle. Unthinkable. A year ago, that would have been unthinkable. Cusp. A young boy on the cusp of manhood. Employer. About employer health care plans. Plagiarism. About is plagiarism. Lesser. About one of the lesser-known campaigns of World War II. Abundantly. Abundantly. Academically. Academically inclined as are we. Nourish. Actively seek to nourish the same pup. Queasy. Actually. 3D kind of makes me queasy. Inhibit. Actually. Ethyl alcohol inhibits electrical conduction. Centripetal. Actually. Its centripetal force. Adversity. Adversity is to be expected. Dote. After he was born, she doted on his every move. Confide. After I confided. Deliberation. After much deliberation, we've determined that a turtle. Midterm. After my entire class fails the midterm. Tablet. After stone tablets and skywriting. Injustice. Ah, the injustice. Impairment. Ah, memory impairment. Jogging. aka jogging. Biopsy. Alarming biopsy results to my patients. Childless. Alicia's non-musical. Childless and prorogue. Instinctively. All canines instinctively know how to swim. Ammo. All I've got is a needler and I'm all out of ammo. Fixture. All new light fixtures. Technician. All our technicians are busy helping other customers. Cursory. All right. Based on a cursory reading. Dispense. All right. Let's dispense with the friendly banter. Banter. All right. Let's dispense with the friendly banter. Workshop. All right. Remember when I auditioned for that workshop? Anthropology. all the anthropology questions because I'm a mammal. Live long, all the livelong day. Senate, all the trade route talk, and the boring Senate hearings. Tighten, all the way to a sphincter tightening 1 in 300. Fanciful, all these at one time seemed fanciful. Candlelight, all these bright people sitting around a table by candlelight. Brick, all this loud music and exposed brick. Underscore, allow me to underscore my sentiment. Inseparable, almost inseparable isotopes. Analog, already conclusively demonstrated the electric analog. Camel, although camels are referenced in the Old Testament. Snippet, although copyright law would allow me to quote snippets. Acne, although it can cause acne, which, if you ask me, kind of naturalize, although she was a naturalized French citizen. Perk, although I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little bit of a perk. Politeness, although I'm concerned that level of politeness and charm. Omit, although sometimes she omits the veil entirely. Continuity, always spotting continuity errors in movies. Spanking, am I gonna get a spanking? Frumpy, am I really this frumpy? Igneous, is basalt a mafic extrusive igneous rock formed? Heartbreak, am in the throes of heartbreak. Voracious, American girls are sexually voracious devils. Colonial, amongst the colonial powers of Europe. Pragmatic, Amy Farrah Fowler, that's the most pragmatic thing. Sanctimonious, Amy is judgmental, sanctimonious and frankly. Snapshot, an apology note, and a few snapshots of me in a bra. Appealing, an aspect of my most appealing trait. Playfulness, trait, an aspect of my most appealing trait. Playfulness, playfulness, an aspect of my most appealing trait. Playfulness, asterisk, an asterisk by his name because he'd be a cyborg. Impoverished, an impoverished peddler of picture books. Normalization, an inelegance to the quadrupole normalization of Smoot's data. Invigorate, an invigorating cold. Outmoded, an outmoded theory, of course, but the boy did spend. Overgrown, an overgrown old forest. Excusable, an understandable but not excusable mistake. Sunbathe, Anais and Giselle are sunbathing. Perdition, and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's aims. Distrust, and a deep distrust of Native Americans. Unexplored, and a dungeon with over 30 rooms left unexplored. Joker, and a joker. Skew, and a mutual admiration that skews in my favor. Rally, and a nation rallied behind him. Perfunctory, and a perfunctory chin-jut of recognition. Psychotherapist, and a psychotherapist who's using dolphins. Jam, and a reinforced jam. Cobalt, and a spool of 50-micron thick cobalt-60 wire. Thermos, and a thermos full of soup. Contentious, and a very contentious twin sister. Adaptability, and adaptability to uneven terrain. Uneven, and adaptability to uneven terrain. Terrain, and adaptability to uneven terrain. Wildflower, and all the wildflowers are in bloom. Alleviate, and alleviate her fears. Amazon, and Amazons tend to be very beefy gals. Overflow, and an overflow reservoir. Reservoir, and an overflow reservoir. Considerably, and are considerably taller than you. Tester, and as the first beta testers, you two will have quite the edge. Pariah, and be a social pariah? Trudge, and became one with the dust through which they trudged. Chaotic, and chaotic for me, and trains represented order. Elm, and chased me up the big elm tree in front of our house. Toad, and closed-toed shoes and a coax, and coaxes the woes out of the troubled patron. Hypodermic, and my father killing my mother with a hypodermic needle. Batch, and defrost a fresh batch. Deployment, and deployment of the testing equipment, colored, and displayed her brightly colored hindquarters, divisible, and divisible by 3, recharge, and do what I need to do to recharge. Increasingly, and download increasingly shameful pornography, shameful, and download increasingly shameful pornography, and trust, and entrusted with its final delivery, midwife, and finally dumped him when he wanted to become a midwife. Syntax. And for the record, the correct syntax is discouraged, and get discouraged and give up on the idea, mucus, and get me the turkey baster labeled mucus, gruesome, and gruesome ends before we meet again, resuscitation, and had to give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to an elderly nun, extensively, and has been extensively corroborated by other researchers. Writ, and having writ, moves on, filibuster, and he was threatening to filibuster, gangster, and he's either with Leslie Winkle or a 1930s gangster, cellar, and headed for the storm cellar, famously, and her famously ravenous nether regions. Tundra, and her hands were like 2 frozen chunks of tundra, arch, and his arch nemesis, Thomas Edison, waxy, and his skin has that pale, waxy quality, peacefully, and I am happy to report that he died peacefully in his sleep. Sputum, and I am producing sputum at an alarming rate. Habitat, and I bought a $2,000 iguana habitat, persimmon, and I had all the letters to spell persimmon, indelible, and I have indelible ink on my forehead, soulful, and I have the soulful eyes of a cow, slurp, and I know a boy who just earned a slurp of soup. Disperse, and I need somebody to decide how we should disperse them. Trot, and I refuse to be trotted out and shown off. Devaluation, and I refuse to contribute to the devaluation of the word genius. Rotten, and I remember that rotten thing. Interim, and I should take over your lab in the interim. Sympathize, and I sympathize, but the hard facts are, unfairly, and I unfairly took it out on you. Confidant, and I was confident I could create one. Malicious, and I wasn't being malicious. Cardiologist, and I'm a sexy cardiologist. Bandwagon, and I'm back on the prom bandwagon. Billionaire, and I'm reborn as a well-hung billionaire with wings. Firework, and I'm scared of fireworks. Mermaid, and I'm wondering how mermaids have babies. Overwhelm, and I'm worried I might be overwhelmed.